You're still struggling to play over chord changes? Well, maybe that's because nobody's broken it down into 5 actionable steps that you can use today. I think I got it. Step 1 being just the difference that this actually makes. When you're playing over the chord changes, you're doing something completely different, which is you're actually matching the harmony of the music. A lot of us guitar players go to learn how to solo, and we're just told to like learn the pentatonic scale and then fuck around with the notes. And if you do that enough, eventually you'll reach this point where you can like play with feel and you feel like you're matching the music. And there's a lot of players, I've seen it in my comments before even, who will be like, dude, fuck music theory. Like, I'm just gonna play by feel. And what those players don't realize is that they're using music theory anyway. When you're playing with feel, what you're doing is playing over the chords. You might just not know it. So, this is so important because it's like a logical way to understand what playing with feel could be. Step 2 is how to actually play over chords. This is something that people throw around a lot, like you need to play over the chords, but a lot of us players get confused as to what that even means. Well, it means that you're using the chords as your base of playing. So what I do a lot, or what I think is a great way to start learning this, is when you're playing over a progression, the first time you're doing this, just play the notes in the chords. So I have this loop set up. That's D major 7, to a D dominant 7, to G major 7, to G minor 7. So what I would first do before you even try and solo over this is just learn the chords, play the chords, and then after you can play the chords, then you want to come back and play them as individual notes. And I'm not saying you need to necessarily learn these chords over this progression. I'm saying go find a backing track, go find a song and do it over that. But it would look like this. And then once you can play the chords, you mix that chord in with your scale. So this one's kind of a funky one because we're mostly in D major. Then we have that flat 7, which is outside of D major. But when I'm playing over that one, I'm mainly just thinking in D major, but just with a flat 7. So like... And then we go down to G. We're back in basically like regular D major. And then when we go to G minor, I kind of think about that as being in G minor for playing over purposes, but mainly just focusing on the notes of the chord and using the scale as a bridge between the chords, just like this. Step 3 is playing in one box. This is a great way to simplify this so you can actually use it today instead of having to learn the whole fretboard just to give this a spin. Because as important as that is, we want you to use this in your playing. We don't want you to just watch me play it, right? So I have this new loop set up that just has A minor, F, and G. And the trick here is we're going to find the chords together inside of one box. So we're in the key of A minor. You can think about your A minor pentatonic scale that if you made it here in the video, I know you know it already. And then we're going to find the chords together inside of that scale. So all of the notes aren't necessarily in the pentatonic scale, but I'll tell you what, there's only one that isn't, and it's pretty close. So we have our A minor. That one's pretty straightforward, right? We have our A minor bar chord. That's right inside of our pentatonic scale. But then we go down to F. Well, how can we find that inside of our pentatonic scale? Well, find notes that are closer to the scale. So this isn't the only F on the fretboard, right? We got F, F, F. This is our key. So it's kind of like our C chord open shape, but just up on that 8th fret of the A string. So we have another F chord on the 7 of D, 5 of G, 6 of B, and 5 of E. And by the way, this is our one note that's not in the pentatonic scale. If we want to take that to G, we can just slide it up a whole step, just like we were doing down here. And that's a little, there's just one note you gotta extend up beyond the one box. But it's similarly the same idea, I would say. So when you find them in one box, you then want to pick out the intervals of the chords. Is this going to help you understand what the chords are and what you can do with the notes? So, for our A minor chord, if we're playing like a regular A minor bar chord, picking out the intervals, which if you don't know what I'm doing when I say the numbers, I'm just taking our minor scale, not the minor pentatonic, but the actual minor with all 7 notes, and counting with the notes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and assigning those notes to the chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1 and 5, and then an octave on our 1. This note would be our flat 3, which makes a minor chord. You'll see the major chords do not have a flat 3, they just have a regular 3. And then we have our 5 again, and then our 1 again. So 1, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1. And I promise this will be worth sitting through. Then we go to F, which if we were just playing those 3 notes we did earlier, it would be 3, 5, 1, and then same again on G, 3, 5, 1. And when I label those chords, I'm relating it to their own corresponding scale. So like on F, I'm labeling it as if I was counting in F major, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then same with G. So that's how all of the chords have the same intervals, even though they're different chords. And the reason this is so important is because when you know the intervals and how the chords differ via intervals, you can play with them a lot more. For example, that F chord, we have our 1 on the B string. Well, we know that the pentatonic scale note is right under that. So even without the intervals, we could kind of, mess around with it. But with the intervals, we can say, well, what's a half step below the 1? That's a major 7. So I know if I'm going on here and I'm messing with that B string, I'm effectively adding the major 7 onto the chord. And then similarly, on this G, we don't have the 1 fret down in the scale. If we go 2 down, then that's our flat 7 on the chord. So let me show you how I would actually use this in action playing in the one box. And if you're really shooting to write and improvise all over the fretboard like a pro, check the top link in the description to see how I can help you hit your goals. Step 4 is going to be finding these chords across the neck. As easy as it is to find the chords in one spot, we don't want to stay stuck in one spot for forever, right? We want to be able to move up the neck and play the chords anywhere. And the way you do that is by knowing where the chords are anywhere and everywhere. I think the best way to do this is by drilling your triads, which I have videos on that too. This isn't the learn your triads video. This is the how to play over chord changes video. The chords up the fretboard, just knowing the chords going up is going to make a huge difference in your ability to do this. Now the key here is understanding that you can move between the same one chord. So say we have our A minor here, right? We also have A minor up here, and we also have A minor up here. So you can essentially play up the fretboard playing just one chord. And you can do that over each chord. So we have our A minor playing up, and then we have our F, and then we have our G, and then back to A minor. So when you see guitar players going way up and down the neck, flowing effortlessly, I guarantee you those players know their chords across the neck and know their scales across the neck, because how else would you do that? So here's another example that's similar to that playing in one box, but I'm not going to limit myself to being in the one box. I'm going to play the same chords moving up and moving down. Whoa. Step 5 is going to be adding chord extensions. Now, what is a chord extension? Well, a chord extension is any note you can apply on top of a chord that isn't already in it, or maybe it is, but it's not rooted in that basic 1, 3, 5. So if we have our A minor chord, that 1 flat 3, 5, an extension would be adding any other note on top of that. So we could add the 7th fret on the high E, and that'd be adding the 9 onto the chord. And that's just like we were doing before, counting up with the notes in the scale. That's just number 9. And you can use these extensions in your improvising by applying them over each chord. So every chord has every possible extension you could play over it, and it's your choice as the creative, as the artist, to paint those extensions on top of those chords. So here's an example of applying those extensions over this progression. And really, if you want to get these ideas locked into your playing with a plan that's customized to you and your goals, then check out this video right here to see exactly how I've helped players just like you hit their goals.